Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. And before we get started and zooming in and focusing on today's topic, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the wonderful viewers who have made a donation and contribution to the channel and sharing with me your gratitude. Thank you so much for stepping up to the plate, getting some skin in the game, and letting me know that this has been able to be a good resource for you. It does keep me committed and inspired to continue to bring the content to you, to know that we're filling in a need here and we're discussing some very crucial things. And that is absolutely my passion. There is not a lot of this type of vlogging and discussion and support even available at the healthcare level. You know, when you go in to speak with a mental health specialist, a psychologist, a primary care physician, oftentimes they have not really been able to discuss this. They have a very generalized practice, which oftentimes leads to the prescription of the red pill or the blue pill, etc. So we are all about actually dissecting what has occurred so you can understand the dynamics of play. Furthermore, become informed and educated on the cluster B, the emotionally manipulative type of individuals, the antisocial, the sociopath, the psychopath, these types of individuals, and how they play unfairly with others in order to really maim, hurt, and sometimes even get close to destroying others. So it's not a funny, laughing situation. It's a very serious situation. So I do approach it with a lot of passion because I think it's so important to provide and to have a resource that is not really out there and that people truly need, and that can save people from a lot of suffering and years of feeling isolated and not knowing what occurred and not knowing have a place to turn. So thank you so much for your donations, your sharing your experiences. And yes, there is a PayPal donate now button right at the, I think it's at the About page here on Peace and Harmony on the channel. So absolutely feel free to donate if I have been a positive influence or catalyst for you in your life. So I want to zoom in and focus in a little bit more in depth in terms of understanding the playing field, the sandbox that, you know, when you play with these people, when you engage in relationships with a covert narcissist or a malignant narcissist, a psychopath, someone who has really pulled the wool over your eyes, who has duped and deceived you, who is duplicitous, meaning they are very two-faced. They might say one thing and do another. And they do this oftentimes in a pathological sense, meaning beyond the normal. And they do this really with all people in most situations. So it is not that they are only targeting you, but they will take many supply sources. And this is just how they get by in life, especially with the psychopath. They do not have the normal kind of typical emotions of love and humanity and caring and connection, empathy. And so they relate to other quote unquote experiences to get by. So they will resort to hypersexualization, which we're going to discuss. They will resort to pathological lying, keeping a facade, which they have carefully crafted and really without the detection of others in all sorts of settings, whether it's marriage, whether it's their parenting, whether it's their work at their job. You know, oftentimes you'll find these people in very specific industry. You know, you're going to see a lot of these in the filmmaking industry, the Hollywoods of the world, the music stages of the world, the finance capitals of the world. These people who can really have a position where they can exploit others. Some of the doctors or lawyers even will bend the law and be very, very much into the business of concealment and, you know, bending the law to their favors. So, and they will exploit others. So these are sort of the hallmarks that cause people to enter into a profound state of denial when you are with them. It is a denying and suppression of yourself. It's the total emotional NyQuil that you are taking that sort of gets your your emotions and your voice suppressed and repressed to the point where repression begins to feel good. Suppression begins to feel good. You begin to then desire this state of self-annihilation or self-subduing, abandoning yourself and your own needs, your own voice, your own momentum. In other words, all that truly makes you wholesome and with an integrity which is connected to source and connected to your truth, it is where you really must then begin to epitomize the falsehood, or really you begin to fall in love with the illusion of another when they have no intent on giving that to you. In other words, it is you've been playing their game without knowing the rules. And oftentimes it is the state of denial within yourself, which means the ability to shut down your inner voice, your own inner truth, and no longer desire that, even have it even no longer become attractive for you to be self-protected, no longer attractive to you to keep your life on solid footing. You no longer find that part of your life force, in which is inherent to you. And so it becomes like you are trying to not only become a person that you're not meant to be, but you're then deluded into thinking that you have to mirror the needs of another in order to live life successfully. And that is the ultimate denial stage, which can go on for weeks, months, or years until eventually the ground within, underneath you begins to crack. Something begins to become exposed. You begin to say, this is enough. I am at my wit's end. I'm at the end of my rope. This is not fair. I deserve better treatment. And eventually that denial of your inner voice, oftentimes it becomes so remote and so far that people don't know how to retrieve it. They don't know how to get their life back. They don't know how to get their voice back. They don't know how to engage with others because it's been so far removed from their everyday practice. And it really is kind of like the use it or lose it scenario. But this definitely is part of when you are set up in the relationship, it's what keeps your disappointment in life solidified. In other words, if you are living life feeling mediocre, feeling that you are disappointed, that you're depressed, that you're socially anxious, it's because you have then made these self-limiting beliefs part of your denial. In other words, your denial has then become what you identify with, and it's what perpetuates that feeling of being disappointed. And it's the fact that you have minimized your own self-importance, you have degraded your own experience to the point where you have minimized the abuse. I don't have anyone to talk to, I must be too sensitive. So-and-so just tells me, if you just had an affair, they just had an affair, get on with it. This is what people do. They have minimized your experience, or you've been around with other people who just don't get the level of psychological hijacking that has taken place. They don't understand the tactics with which these people use. So it's very important to understand what occurs and what has resulted in the denial. And oftentimes, especially in the case of, the denial oftentimes can be because you're in such a stage of the relationship that you must embrace the denial in order to keep the relationship going. And to embrace your truth would either mean, desperation for you, loneliness, acknowledging being on your own. It's too early in the game. In other words, if you're a young child and you can't survive without this person, or if you're newly engaged or newly going out and you want to save your own face, so you think you must make these sacrifices, everything, you become literally addicted. And to not perpetuate that addiction, it becomes, lose control, you lose a grip on your own values. That's truly what it is, where you become addicted to your own self-preservation. You become addicted to you become addicted to your abandonment. You become addicted to your self-annihilation. And what it really is like, you are becoming extinguished in the presence of this person. And this might sound dramatic, but I'll talk to some of the viewers who have been through this, and this is very right on. when someone say, oh, how could this happen? It's because you have not encountered as closely or as intimately the, rubbing of shoulders with these types of people. You don't know what they do to the minds of people. And I am here to tell you that you should not minimize the abuse of what you've been through. The people who have told you, oh, it was just an affair. Sometimes an affair is not just an affair. It is so much more in terms of the distraction and derailing and the somersaulting of values and the making upside down of values within you that actually direct your focus and your physiology, which is so profound, unless you've really been through it, almost like what you would expect with a concentration camp where you're trying to break down the nationality or the patriotism of one country in order to break them down and become prisoners of war. You're breaking down everything that you have fought for your entire life, and then you become literally brainwashed and gaslighted. It is like entering into that state in your own personal life. So really, there aren't a lot of resources that are here to help you and to understand how this denial has been set up. And I'm going to go into it briefly, and then I'm going to go into some exercises to help you shake this loose and to get back to the real you, because the real you is still there. It's the real you that is pining for help, which I'm here to help fill your cup. So understand that this denial becomes set up originally through, especially in the state of the psychopath or those people who have engaged with others in an intimacy, i.e. romantic or sexual relationship, or even in parents where they sexually abuse their children, i.e. exposing them to too much sexual material when they're not old enough to handle this. But it is through the distraction and contortion at very pivotal times with which the psychopath is able to enter in. There's like a hole in the portal into your consciousness that they get in and basically get their talons into your consciousness and then begin to alter the operating mechanisms. In other words, they know they have the ability, and we're really kind of going into more the psychopathic realm here, the antisocial, the individuals who do not have a conscience. They do not have a sense of integrity. Being right or wrong is not an issue for them. Their own control and their demise, to bring others to demise, is what helps them feel connected, i.e., on top of life, is when they can, in a predetermined, premeditated, pre-calculated way, use their quote-unquote what they perceive as an ability, i.e. not feeling for others, not having a conscience, but being very aggressive to take money, people's time, energy, things, sex, whatever it is that they can really take from that situation. They're going to maneuver themselves and use their gaze, use their energy, which is abnormal, i.e. they appear normal. They can appear very good looking, intelligent. They can be very, well built, and they will use their body positioning and their smirk and their gaze to really create a trance-like situation for others. And we're going to dive in a little bit deep into this for this video so you can understand how the self-denial, the self-numbing, the self-anesthetizing takes place. Because it's an anesthetization to your own sense of focus, which becomes paralyzed. It's like it becomes anesthetized. If you've ever had an anesthetist, anesthesia, or, it's where it really sort of paralyzes you into a focus on them, especially in a hypersexual manner. And where then they get in and they're able to contort, distort meanings within your mind, which become hypersexualized, i.e. the sexual arousal, all those hormones within you are then ignited by them or stimulated in a non-moral, immoral, i.e. way. We're going to use the word immoral, meaning because they're taking control of the feelings of your body, where you are then no longer in control. You are then being led along a very pre-calculated way, especially in the element of distraction. So they're able to then use the Gestalt theory, where they then create things in the environment which are not there. And it sounds almost like you enter into a psychosis, but it's more a feeling or energy state with which these people are able to control your focus and the meaning that you assign to things. If this, oftentimes people who have encountered these people, they will know it unequivocally because they've never encountered this experience before. It's an experience where you then begin to feel things that they are projecting into a certain space. In other words, they can take an empty chair and make it seem like there's something there, a person there. But by the way that they use and shape their body, their references, they can project hypersexualized things onto inanimate objects where, normal things jetting out then becomes sexual organs. They have a way of twisting and contorting and distracting your focus onto these things, so you're no longer focusing on what is inherent to you, natural, organic, wholesome, and healthy. They cause the decaying, the decrepit, the decay of these chemicals or the hormones in your body, which are not aligned to what is in your best interest. It becomes hijacked. It becomes taken over, and you then enter into a denial state of yourself, and you're then into a state of addiction to this new neurochemical high, which is propagated by the distraction of them, where they break you down. And even, on the malignant narcissist path, this does happen, but to a lesser degree. The psychopathic realm is where these people literally are vying for your destruction. They're vying for your complete loss of control of yourself. They're vying for your complete and utter abandonment of yourself, which sounds very strange, but this is how these psychopaths will engage, because when they see you engaging in this, they can see you letting go of that which is important to you for them. In other words, and then when you test them to reality, like, why don't you meet so-and-so, or why don't we do this? This is when you start seeing a crack in the mask. And then you'll realize they switch it on and off, just like a light switch. And what's very profound is that their energy literally transform the way that they look. So these people can actually metamorphosize, and this sounds very scientific, or not very scientific, I'm sorry, very sci-fi-like. But these individuals literally metamorphosize into the countenance of somebody else. And it's almost like a shapeshift. And to encounter this, and then to encounter the other side of the shapeshift, it's not like someone's taking their makeup off or taking their, suit and tie off. It's a whole energetic shift of countenance, where their energy shifts. And it's very scary to see this, because it's very abnormal, and it's very very alien-like, or what a lot of viewers have described as Jezebel-like. And so it is very important for you to understand that this has just been a complete detour or distraction of you, and this is what leads to initially that denial state, where you then, you're then perpetuated in this. So it's an uncovering of those shackles of denial. So that will free you and liberate you, and you will return to a new normal for you. You will begin to have all your chemistry reset itself to a new wholesomeness, but it'll be a wiser, stronger, wholesome. In other words, it'll be such that, especially when you learn the tools here, that it will not be corrupted again. It's like you learn, just like through the immune system, when you've encountered a virus, all of your cells have a memory. I'm reading a very interesting book called The Biology of Belief. I would highly recommend this, by Dr. Bruce Lipton, cellular biologist at University of Wisconsin-Madison. And he talks about the influence of environment on cellular activity. The millions of cells, they all have their own little identity, and you're made up of trillions and trillions of cells, and these cells in your immune system have a memory. So like when you've been exposed to a virus, such as really in the case of like a psychopath, you know, when you've encountered this virus or any, like, let's just say flu virus, your cells then have learned and create a new antibody. So when it comes into counteraction, you know, when it comes to encounter that again, it already has the immune system to block it out. So your cells have a memory to then block it out. So really, when you really heal through your cell, you will have a memory and you will self-protect. It'll become automatic. So you will return to a new normal, but you will be able to automatically and without a lot of effort being able to be healed and not be attracted to these types. When you learn the tools and such as we're presenting here and work these this time frame, work the recovery date, work the recovery journal, understand who these people are and how they operate, so you can know, your body can then know who and what they were, and then distance yourself from that event, which is then, you know, created the denial, the disappointment, and then separate that from that. You're no longer that addicted person. You are free and liberated. And when you take that with the feelings of gratitude, the powerful state of gratitude, you allow your emotions to become reset neurologically. And so, and I know we're going long here today, but the questions, I think I'm going to go through just a little bit here for this workshop, this video here. And so I really want you to get out pen and paper here real quick, and I'm going to continue this on the next video. But if you can write out your sheet 1 to 10, and now thinking about your healing, thinking from a state of peace, thinking about a place of being self-determined, self-actualized now, and away from this destructive influence. What I want you to write at the top of your page, what I really haven't told anybody or truly admitted that I love is, list 1 through 10. What I haven't told anybody or haven't truly admitted is that I really love, list 1 through 10. And what I've always admired, what I had to sacrifice while ongoing in this emotionally manipulative relationship is, list 1 through 10. What I have had to sacrifice while engaging in this emotionally manipulative relationship is, list 1 through 10. So what you had to sacrifice, you're coming, and I want you to write this down so you can view it and see it, because when you answer these without overthinking, you're able to get the answers to unearth some of that truth which you have denied, what you have loved, what you have sacrificed. And then what I really admire about strong people is that they, list 1 through 10. What I really admire about strong people is that they, list 1 through 10. And I also want you to list this 1 through 10. What I've always wanted for myself but never thought was possible was, in list 1 through 10. What I've always wanted for myself but never thought possible was, list 1 through 10. And do one of these from the list this week, or take some action step in the direction of this week. You can do it, but it's getting it out of the repressed, denied state and putting it on paper and taking action, which makes it possible. And really helps you get out of that emotional stagnation, because that's really what the result is like an emotional stagnation. And what I really avoided or have been avoiding or procrastinating as a result of this emotionally damaging relationship is 1 through 10. What I have really been avoiding or have been avoiding or procrastinating as a result of this emotionally damaging relationship is, list 1 through 10. And do one of these today. Immediately. Once you get this out on your list, you just write it automatically without overthinking. But you need to write it down. You need to write it down, because your hand is a direct connection to your unconscious mind. Your body is your unconscious mind. And so when you answer it without overthinking and you allow your unconscious, your subconscious to provide you the answers, because your conscious mind is going to block them out. It's going to be used to blocking it out due to these damaging relationships that cause you to live in denial and disappointment. So you're not going to be able to just spurt it out. When you begin to write it again, then you're able to hear more of your inner voice. Then while you're doing the dishes, you start to hear some positive things. Your self-talk begins to emerge. Then you begin to feel better. Then you begin to stand up straight. Then you be able to arise in the present. Then you be able to plan. Then you be able to dream. Then you be able to do. Then you be able to say, I am worthy enough to get an appointment book. Then you're making marks in your calendar. Then you're doing things. Then you're building things. You're going fishing. You're smiling again. You're feeling carefree again. One of the most damaging things or the scariest thing about being in this relationship is 1 through 10. And I am so glad now that I'm not in this destructive relationship that I can now list 1 through 10. I can now enjoy list 1 through 10. Write these out. Oh, peace and harmony, I'm not into writing. You know, I don't even have a pen. Get a pen and paper. Surprise yourself. You will be pleasantly surprised when you begin to unearth these. You begin to loosen up the shackles of denial and disappointment from your inner self, where you really begin to surprise yourself. Oh, peace and harmony, I never knew I had wanted or I loved or admired because I never admitted it to myself. See, but in the privacy and the safety of these videos, in your own pen and paper, you can have the safety to spill it out. This is for you. This is your time. This is for you. So you need, it's a very remarkable and miraculous experience to be able to hear from yourself that has been shut away. It's like, you know, it's like finding a treasure trove of gold, you know, well in the mine. You know, you have to get the tools. These are the tools. These are the questions that get you into that seat of the heart, the seat of the internal gold that you are looking for, that you're tapping for. It's like having a metal detector or a dream detector while you're writing, while you ask these questions. But these questions need to be asked in such and such a way so you can have your true self kind of speak up for yourself. And then you're like, wow, like, I didn't know that I wanted to go and do this. Wow, I didn't know that I was attracted to this. Wow, I didn't know that I loved this. Wow, I didn't know I admired that. And you begin to listen to yourself in the way that nobody else can. And when you listen to yourself, you validate yourself. And that is one of the most powerful healing experiences you can do. It's like pulling yourself from the heart bootstraps and going, amen, soldier, let's go. Like we've got this from here. And another question, and I know we're going very long, and I hope you can make it through this entire thing. You might need to pause and stop and get like a Coke or something or a snack while we're doing this. Bear with me one moment. Let's just see here. And another question you can ask yourself before we wrap up. Would I really taught to undervalue about myself and life experience is 1 through 10. I really feel that this can be one of the most powerful questions, and I hope you made it this long. Would I really taught to undervalue about myself and life is list 1 through 10. And I think once you do this, you'll be able to then realize what you truly value about yourself, or what you had undervalued about yourself in life experiences 1 through 10, even though in my heart I know it is so important. So oftentimes these damaging relationships can be total distractions and derail you and detract you from your own valuation of self, your own valuation of life and what's important and sacred, and get you to abandon those. So I want you to take one of those 10 that you found on your list and begin to support and nurture that today in the ongoing week, where you're finding these little qualities of yourself that were undervalued, or things, experiences you were undervalued in life, and go and grab hold and nurture those and find sustenance, wholeness, in happiness through this day and through the upcoming days. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.